So we had an incident as far back as 2004 where one of our top people burnt out. And we realized we need to embed something in our culture that is going to encourage people to be balanced while still doing truly, truly great work. And what I've seen in the investment in culture, and as we've nurtured this and given it space to flourish, when we get hit by external elements or unpredictable dynamics like the 2001, 2002 market shift, the 2008, 2009 market shift, all of the pandemic, that culture, if it's in a good place and it's nurtured and it's invested in, it becomes like this invisible glue. It becomes almost like an invisible force field. As you get hit by these really difficult things, your culture can bounce back.
Welcome to Grow Think Tank. This is the one and only place where you will get insight from the founders and the CEOs of the fastest growing privately held companies. I am the host. My name is Gene Hammett. I help leaders and their teams navigate the defining moments of their growth. Are you ready to grow?
Today, we're going to be talking about culture, specifically protecting your culture. Every time you go through some changes, you add people, maybe you make a big strategy shift, you want to make sure that you're constantly protecting your culture. And it takes strong leadership to do this. It takes very intentional focus on the right things. And what are those right things? Well, we look at some of those today with our special guest. We are with Orrin Klopper. We are with Orrin Klopper, and he is the founder, CEO of Netsurit. They're an MSP company, but they have a very different approach than their peers. They are really focused on the culture and the people that make things work. And so we unpack this with Orrin today, talking about really a difficult time that they went through recently, as the changes of COVID hit, and what they did to get back on the right financial track, but also how they continue to invest in culture and people. And specifically, we dive deeper into a dream program that they have launched that is very unique, very powerful, and you can actually steal this and run with it if you want to. It is really an incredible piece behind what makes companies tick, and that's what we're here to do, is find out what makes them tick. My name is Gene Hammett. I am an executive coach. We also do leadership development, and we really help companies grow to that next level. If you have any questions about what's going on in your world, you want to just talk about it with someone, you want an objective perspective, you want someone who has many cycles of these strategies and growth and leadership, then let's have a chat. I'd love to get to know you, get to know your business, what you're up to, where you're going, and see how I can help you. And this isn't me trying to pitch you anything. It really is just something I care from the heart. I want to make sure that you are focused in the right direction. You have clarity in what's next. And we actually, if it makes sense, we talk about a leadership performance audit to see where you stand in 6 different categories. And inside those pieces, you will get much more clarity about what is next for you to focus on as you move forward. If you're interested in any of that, make sure you go to genehammett.com, schedule a call. Look forward to talking to you. Now, here's the interview with Orrin. Orrin, how are you?
Yeah, great. Thanks, Gene.
Excited to have you here. We're going to talk about the quality of the culture and why that's so important as your company is scaling. Tell us about your company, Netsurit.
Sure. So our purpose is supporting the dreams of the doers. And the primary pillar of that is this idea that if we're really going to scale and build something significant, we need a culture that encourages people to be balanced and not only do great work and deliver great value to our customers, but lead a balanced, engaged, and full and meaningful life. And then on the customer side, we go through a process as we take on customers to understand their business, so that when we are putting forward technology recommendations and delivering our services to them, we're able to add real and meaningful value, enabling them to achieve their goals and strategies and objectives. We're over 300 people. Primary locations are New York, New Jersey, South Africa, and then we have team members in various parts of the world. We have we've really embraced this remote work from anywhere dynamic.
And I love what you're doing and what you're saying, and you started talking about what we're going to talk about today, which is your culture. I don't think you even told us what you did.
Yeah, sure. So we're an IT services business. In the industry, it's known as an MSP, but essentially we either are the IT department for our customers, where we look after the day-to-day operational support of their environment, or we partner with or augment an internal IT department. So typical ideal customer profile for us is from sort of 25 to 1,000 user environments. That's kind of the focus area that we have. And typically, Gene, it's a monthly amount that we're being paid to take the headache of managing their technology off their hands in a predictable, easy way to manage. And we're very metric driven as far as how we deliver that service.
And the MSP world, the managed service providers, lots of things are changing, especially with work from home. Where do you see things trending over the next 3 years?
Yeah, so there was a radical change that took place right away from enabling remote work to securing the idea that your people are working from anywhere through to their productivity. And I think there's been a return to some level of more in-office dynamic, but nowhere near what it was pre-pandemic. And I think it's this basic need in all of us to have trust and autonomy in what we do. You know, I look at some of our people, Gene, that were traveling into our Manhattan office. On average, each person was probably traveling an hour each way a day. So now, if I could wave a magic wand and give you 2 hours back every day of your life, that's probably not something you'd very quickly want to give up, right? So I think, where's it going to go? I think there needs to be this focus on protecting the autonomy and the time savings that a lot of people have gained out of remote work, and then also leveraging the technology to optimize productivity. How can you make your people as productive as possible? So I'll give you an example. We are very focused on the Microsoft technology stack. And when you look at the Microsoft technology stack, for instance, Office 365 and their Power Platform suite of technologies, organizations are spending a lot of money on licenses and tools that can have a significant impact on the productivity of their people and the success of their business. And we're seeing only 30 to 40% of it really being adopted and used. So we just think that's a massive opportunity. And over the next 2 to 3 years, we're going to be driving that very, very hard. And we've built what we believe is a blue ocean offering squarely in that space.
I love what you're doing with this, but we're not going to talk about the technology and all of the stuff. We're going to talk about the quality of your culture. Big question, just to kind of open it up. Why is culture so important to the growth of your company?
Yeah, so we, in our growth journey, you know, you look at the technology space that we're in, Gene, and a lot of people that are drawn into this industry, it's a passion, it's a hobby, and it's something that they love doing. And when you look at the demands of this industry, it's a perfect recipe for imbalance and to burn people out. So we had an incident as far back as 2004 where one of our top people burnt out, and we realized we need to embed something in our culture that is going to encourage people to be balanced while still doing truly, truly great work. And what I've seen in the investment in culture, and as we've nurtured this and given it space to flourish, when we get hit by external elements or unpredictable dynamics like the 2001, 2002 market shift, the 2008, 2009 market shift, all of the pandemic, that culture, if it's in a good place and it's nurtured and it's invested in, it becomes like this invisible glue. It becomes almost like an invisible force field. As you get hit by these really difficult things, your culture can bounce back. So let me give you a brief story just to give you an example. 2019, we realized our organic growth's in a hole. It's one of the worst places it's been in the last 5 years. Going into 2020, we're now looking at the eye of the storm of what is an unprecedented thing in my life, being a global pandemic. So our organic growth is stalled, okay? We're looking at a pandemic. Our two biggest customers, we're looking at losing them. Got nothing to do with the pandemic. The one is a bank, and they've decided it's a small bank, and they've decided they're going to insource everything. The other was a telecoms business, and they were doing a global outsource. So we were looking at losing both of those key customers and a pandemic. So what did we do? We cut costs aggressively. Included in that was 3 rounds of layoffs. We hadn't done 3 rounds of layoffs in the last 20 years combined. So it was just a massive, massive blow. And the nature of some of the layoffs were announcements that it's happening, but not able to tell people specifically who it was going to affect. And we cut costs, and wherever we saved costs, we put 50% back into growth and innovation, and we put the other 50% back into our profits. And we were able to, through that period, transform the business. And from 2020 into 2022, we've managed to grow the business by over 50%. Now, you'd say to yourself, what would 3 rounds of layoffs in 1 year do to a culture? It's unbelievably damaging. No matter how good your culture is, no matter how good your communication is, it's unbelievably damaging. But because I believe we had invested so hard in our culture and we put our people first for so long, we were able to bounce back from that. It created damage at the time, but we were able to bounce back. And that's part of, I think, our growth and the momentum we're experiencing right now.
So it was important for you guys to get back. And I'm just curious, what were the key elements of getting a culture back in alignment after 3 rounds of layoffs?
So all the way through the layoffs, we over communicated.
Mm-hmm.
We literally just over communicated. Even if we didn't have an update, we would communicate that. So that was the one thing that I think protected some of the downside damage that can be done in that type of situation. Number 2, I personally was very accountable to say, the reason actually that we're doing these layoffs has nothing to do with the COVID pandemic. It actually has to do with the fact that our organic growth engine had stalled and we were losing customers, and we didn't have the organic growth engine to replace those customers quick enough to protect your jobs. So as the remaining staff saw us cutting costs and saw us reinvesting in the right way, I think there was an openness and a vulnerability that as the leader, I'd failed, I'd gotten it wrong, and we were going to get it right. And we were not going to get this wrong again. So since then, we've increased what we spend on marketing and sales 5 times. By quantum 5 times. We leaned into our dreams program. So the one thing that we did is we drove this idea of called a Dream Connect. So what's a Dream Connect? We have about 300 people from Peru to Poland to Cape Town to Johannesburg to Durban to the UK to New Jersey to New York, various parts of the world. And often people don't necessarily work with each other on a day-to-day. So a Dream Connect is a 30-minute meeting where you meet with someone you don't work in Netsurit. You might choose to present them your dream book or just tell them a little bit about yourself and your life story. And it really just creates this authentic, real connection over and above the day-to-day of your work. So there was a glue that created. And then we continue to invest in the Dreams program. So typically we'd been a very in-office culture, and now it was all done remotely, but it really seemed to still flow. It still seemed to work. So I think our Dreams program has definitely been a big part of bouncing back.
Now, Orrin just mentioned over-communicating. It sounds like a bad thing, but I want you to think about this. Any big change, even small changes sometimes, you've got to communicate more than you think is necessary. You've got to repeat yourself. You've got to be consistent with the message. Maybe you've got to give the message and stories in different perspectives so that people begin to really get it, because people get jaded. People think that they don't need that. I will say leaders really underestimate how often they should be communicating. I will also say they think that they're being clear, but they're really not. And we walk people through explicit communication, which is crystal clarity and speaking in a way that can't be misunderstood. That really is a powerful way to lead. And over communication isn't really the issue. It's just communicating consistently, communicating with repetition and clarity all through the process. So all that being said, hopefully next time you think should you communicate this or not, just come back to this conversation and think about how you move forward from there. Back to Orrin. I want to dive into that, but before we leave this whole quality of culture thing, what had to change in the way you lead through this difficult time and bringing everyone back in alignment for growth?
Yeah, it's a great question. I had to learn to let go. And I think in the midst of the difficult times, we were also doing some very aggressive, we were implementing some very aggressive growth strategy at the very same time from an M&A perspective. And the only way we could succeed with that M&A was if I was focused on that. So I had to let go of a whole lot of other things, and not, even if I saw those leaders potentially making a mistake or heading in the wrong direction, me letting go outside of who I was line managing, unless they were asking for my feedback and input, was probably something that had to change in my leadership style. And it's part of the fact that we can grow at this rate. And I can honestly tell you, Gene, I'm balanced. I'm balanced. I have time to spend with my daughter. I have time to exercise. I have time to sleep. I'm not one of those entrepreneurs that believe in working your people 18 hours a day and inspiring them with your business growth. Meanwhile, they miss their kids' birthdays. They never see their kids' concerts. We don't think like that. I don't think like that. So definitely letting go was one of the biggest sort of leadership lessons I took from that. And probably next was this idea that we can really build something very, very significant in our space. And there's a market consolidation dynamic happening where there are 30 to 40,000 MSPs, and just seeing some of that early success really forced me to try and elevate my leadership to be able to make the most of that opportunity.
Well, I appreciate you going through that. I know it was difficult, but letting go is something I think a lot of founders, CEOs struggle with. Let's go back, because I want to unpack this Dreams program. You call it Dream Connect. You brushed over this 30-minute meetings. What's the frequency? What's the reason behind this stuff? Give me everything I need to know to understand this Dream Connect.
Yeah, so it's called our Dreams program. The Dream Connect is one component of it. So I'll give you a high-level summary. You do a dream book once a year, wherein dream books are due for the year ahead next Friday in Netsurit. We get about an 80 to 90% participation. And a dream book is your top 10 personal goals and dreams visualized. So, you and I having a bit of a discussion around coaching earlier. Any good coaching process is taking your customer or whoever you might be coaching through a process to understand what do they really, really want in their lives. And we find sometimes that some of these young IT professionals are so busy and so caught in the day-to-day, they don't actually take the time to distill what they really, really want. And the workplace culture isn't really interested in giving them the time to do that. So you do a dream book once a year. That's the first step. Top 10 goals visualized and it's generally a PowerPoint deck. Secondly, you get put into a dream group. A dream group is about 8 people. Generally, we try and split it up so it's not people you know and work with all the time. Someone in there takes the role of dream coach. You get trained, and then you get a deputy dream coach. You can only become a line manager in Netsurit if you've been a dream coach for at least a year. So we believe being able to coach someone or a group is a critical skill in management and leadership. The dream groups meet once a month, where it forms a sort of a safe space for you to talk about what you really want in your life and supporting each other in achieving that. And then we do something called the Dreams Week in advance on a Monday before 12 o'clock. What are the 3 things you want to get done this week, no matter how crazy the week gets? Okay, and that circulates to your dream coach, and then there's some accountability and support that happens there. And then Dream Connects, we encourage people to do 2 to 4 Dream Connects a month, where you meet with someone that's not in your dream group, and you meet with them and you just get to know them. It's interesting, Gene, and I'm sure you've seen it in the work that you do. There's something that happens when 2 humans meet and they share more about themselves and what they really want in their lives. There's something in the human spirit that you want to see that person achieve it. And it creates a connection, because, as far as, I've been a member of Entrepreneurs Organization and YPO. I've been since EO since 2003, and YPO probably like 15 years now. And you think you don't judge people, but I still do. I meet someone and and then you think, oh no, that kind of person. And then you actually sit and have a real conversation with them, and you're like, wow, that is inspiration. And that's what we've inculcated into our culture and into the way we run the Dreams program.
I want to pause right here for a second. we've been talking about the employees' dreams. Do you know what their dreams are? Do you know what skills they're working on? Do you know how they want to grow and expand? Well, I think it's an opportunity that you want to really look at. If you understood how someone wants to grow, let's say they want to learn guitar. You might know a friend that gives lessons, and you can make that introduction. They will forever be thankful for that. If it's a business kind of thing, if they were looking to grow a skill, then you can help them in that journey too. And that is usually in alignment with what's going on with their teams and their company. And sometimes people want to change positions. They want to say, I no longer want to be in this functional area. I want to grow into this other area. And so if you understood their dreams, you can navigate through all these things. And the idea behind this, the big idea is, don't just assume that people are just coming there to work, get their work done, and go home. They have lives, they have their own dreams. If you can be a part of those dreams, if you can help them be a hero in their own story, that's from, I forget the guy's name, Reid from LinkedIn, Reid Hoffman. If your job is not to make them the hero of your story, your job is to make them the hero of their own story. It's a big phrase. You might think it's a cliche, just, kind of words put together. But imagine the power of that over time. Back to the conversation with Orrin. We don't have much time, but I'm going to give you one more question, Orrin, around you're getting them training to be able to be a dream coach.
Yes.
I'm kind of curious, what does that look like so that they are really supportive and giving them the what they need?
So the first piece is there is monthly training for the dream coaches, and there are multiple sessions of it. We bring in various experts to train on different topics. So we've probably had, over the last 3 years, between 6 to 8 different coaching type organizations or coaches come in to train our dream coaches. The second thing is we use a learning platform called Udemy, and there are various programs on that we encourage the dream coaches to do. And there's also a sort of a performance measurement of the dream groups, which is based on attendance, completion of dream group, dream books, and completion of dreams week in advance. So that's a little bit of a performance measurement dynamic to see what dream coaches might need more support.
Well, I so appreciate you having this concept and sharing it with us because I think it does speak to what you really believe at the heart of your business is your people. And the balance and what you're giving them. I've never heard of it before, but it makes so much sense. And I would imagine it's been a huge part of your turnaround in keeping the culture the way you want it to be.
Yeah, it has. And maybe just as a concluding remark on that, it's not for everybody. Okay. So go to Glassdoor and search Netsurit, and you'll see a couple of comments about our dreams program. They said it wasn't compulsory. It's like a cult. They just want to, manipulate you. So there's definitely a whole bunch of people that think this has some sinister objective, but it definitely doesn't.
I would imagine for every one, enemy you have to this program, you probably have 10 that love it.
For sure. For sure.
Thanks for being here.
Sure. Thanks so much, Gene.
Wow, another great interview on the podcast. Love being able to bring unique things for you. This whole concept about the Dream Program, I think is just absolutely brilliant. I will be completely honest with you. I've never heard anything like this inside of companies where you're taking, the 10 goals of your people and letting them, have time to work on them. Imagine the goodwill and the connection and the trust that builds when you are doing this consistently. I do love the fact that he shared that some people don't like it. It's not for everyone. That's okay. Maybe some of the things you were doing aren't for everyone. But if they are having a dramatic impact on the organization, keep doing them, find ways to get even better at them, and keep going with protecting your culture. If you need help in anything, and you want some insights around what you're doing strategy-wise, culture, leadership, make sure you reach out to us at teamhammett.com. Love to talk to you about what's going on in your business. When you think of growth and you think of leadership, think of Growth Think Tank. As always, lead with courage. We'll see you next time.